Hi, it's Ashley from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome back to my channel where I make a lot of cake and cookie decorating tutorials as well as give a lot of baking business tips. So if you've ever struggled with making circular cookies or putting cookies on a stick and making sure that nothing spreads out, then I suggest that you stick around. Now, I love my classic sugar cookie recipe, but I haven't found a really great chocolate sugar cookie recipe, and this one really impressed me. Now, as you know, I'm a big fan of Cookie Countess products. I absolutely love their airbrushing machine and all of the other cookie accessories that they have. And this particular card came with one of those products. So I decided to try it out. I'm always curious, are these recipes actually going to be good? And this one really did not disappoint. So it starts off like any other sugar cookie. Really, sugar cookies, cakes, they kind of all do the same thing. You need to put the wet ingredients together and then carefully add those dry ingredients in. Now, what's special about this particular recipe is that it does have the addition of corn syrup. So that's the only way that it really differs from my original classic sugar cookie recipe. That and the addition of cocoa powder, of course. Now, I'm preparing these sugar cookies for a very special event, and I knew that the singular recipe probably wouldn't make as many sugar cookies as I wanted. Because it was basically similar to the measurements that I use for my classic sugar cookie recipe, I knew that I should probably double it. I usually gauge that by looking at how much flour is in the product. Then I generally know. Now, the recipe actually called for dark corn syrup, but I only had the light on hand. It really didn't alter anything too much. I think it's more of a color choice. Now, I did run into one little snag with this recipe, but it is because my mixer just simply isn't big enough. If I had a larger mixer, it probably wouldn't have been a problem at all. And if you're using the recipe as is, then you're probably going to be totally fine. Mine was just kind of overflowing in the bowl a little bit. But little tip that I like to do, I add in half the flour, mix it up, and then I add in the other half. You can see here that my KitchenAid is literally exploding. Now, here's where the snag is. You see how it's very dry? Had I been able to mix that up a little bit longer in my KitchenAid or stand mixer, if you're using that, it probably would come together a lot faster. Because I doubled this recipe, it was a little bit trickier, but all I did was I kneaded everything together individually. And you'll notice this dough cleans up very well, meaning you don't lose pieces of the dough, there's no excess anything, and you're able to get this super smooth dough out of it. Plus, you really don't have to worry about sticking. The recipe calls for 3 to 3.5 cups of flour. Now, I doubled the recipe, so I actually went with 6 cups of flour. I think 7 cups would have been way too much and way too dry. Right at this stage, it was absolutely perfect for me. Now, what I decided to do with this, which was a little bit different than what I normally do with my sugar cookie dough, is I rolled it out flat like this, and then I placed it directly on these non-stick baking mats. If you want to know where I got these, by the way, down in the description box below, I have every product that I use in this video listed so you can go and check it out. I let the dough chill for about 10 minutes, and I realized that that's a really short time period. The reason is because when I was rolling this out, it already felt like it was ready to get cut out. That being said, it is a colder month right now, so things were a little bit more chill, and that butter was quite solidified already, so I just felt it. I just had that sense. But if you want to make really sure, then definitely place that in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes, maybe even up to an hour. But honestly, it was quite nice to have it a little bit more pliable. And when I was cutting these out, I placed them onto that nonstick mat. These will bake your cookies the most evenly. I've done it on parchment for years, never really got a super even bake. So I say use the nonstick mat. What was great about this dough as well is I really didn't have to add a bed of flour underneath. I didn't even really have to flour the surface. The dough was the perfect consistency to just be able to roll out. Now, whenever I'm trying a no spread recipe, I always feel like I'm still very careful about not placing the cookies too closely together. But when I say no spread, I mean no spread here. Like, this recipe did not lie at all about the results that you would get. Now, simple cutout cookies are always the easiest. It's really hard to mess these up unless they generally spread into one another. So I decided to run this cookie dough through a few more tests. Because if I'm going to add this to something that I'm permanently going to use, then I need it to be able to go on a stick. And the way I usually put cookies on a stick, I don't bother trying to stab or shimmy that stick in. I just do 2 thinner cookies and I stack them on top of one another. You don't need to add water or anything else. The next big test is, can it actually bake a perfect circle without everything spreading or going oblong? And there you have it. It really did bake up perfectly. Every shape that I used, the edges were so crisp and delightful. And any imperfections that you see on the top there, that was user error on my part if things aren't perfectly smooth. But I gotta say, the cookies turned out quite smooth, quite nice. So if you're going for a more bare cookie or you need perfect circles, I would definitely use this recipe. And some final tips, I did bake these at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 11 minutes, left them on the tray, let them cool down completely, and then moved them to that cooling rack. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading weekly, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. Bye!